on the Texas A&M Sports Network. From Learfield, welcome to the Aggie Soccer Hour with Coach G. Brought to you by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit rudys.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. Memorial Hermann, proud supporter of Aggie Soccer and the official healthcare provider of Texas A&M Athletics. And by Cotton Holdings, one call, one team, total recovery. Now, the Aggie Soccer Hour with Coach G.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Aggie Soccer Hour with Texas A&M head coach G Guerrieri. I'm David Ellis. Coach G is alongside the Aggies with two SEC games here in the last 4 or 5 days. First traveled last Thursday to Auburn, Alabama to take on the Auburn Tigers, and then on Sunday evening face the number 10 ranked Arkansas Razorbacks here at Ellis Field. Both finished the same way, 1-0 scores with the Aggies on the short end of the score. Auburn scored late. It was Arkansas who scored early. But, gee, I have to tell you, first of all, with both of these contests, they're two very good opponents. Auburn.
Well, I'm glad that you're trying to make me feel better because
I'm telling you the truth.
I appreciate that, and you're right though. I mean, we've lost a few in a row. They've almost all been top 10 teams or in the neighborhood, and they've played well. And the goals that we've given up have been, they've been tough goals to give up because they've been quality goals. We talked about, a few games ago, Georgia, the third goal they scored was, a really well set up goal. Well, the goal at Auburn beat that big time.
Yeah.
I mean, just a world-class serve coming down the right flank and a header that the kid just like jumped out of the building and got on the end of it and heads it into the upper corner. So,
and I don't care who you have in goal in college soccer, they're not stopping that shot.
No, unless they get hit by it, and that
right.
Unless you happen to be hanging from the crossbar. But Maysen Veronda in goal for us had a fantastic night. I mean, she was tested all evening at Auburn and really did a wonderful job. And then on the flip side of it, the game against Arkansas comes in as top 10 in the country as well. And they, I was pretty darn pleased with just the way that our team defended and had chances. I mean, yeah, we outshot them, all that stuff, but they had more shots on goal. They had the only shot in the goal. But more than anything, if you look at that game, and I don't have the stats in front of me right immediately in front of me, but I think they only had one shot in the second half.
You're right. They took 3 shots in the first half and 1 shot in the second half.
Yeah, and that's not Arkansas-like as far as so for us to be able to put together that type of an effort, and I was pleased with the team in both settings on how hard they played, how hard our team played, because both those teams are going to play hard against you, and that's why I'm disappointed. I'm not disappointed in the players at all. I'm just kind of disappointed for the result because, man, they worked hard. Now here we are. We're going to play the number 3 team in the country this week
on the road.
On the road, yeah, where it's a tough place to go and it's a good environment for them. But the cool thing is that our team is playing better and better and better. And again, we have 11 new starters, so getting them on the same page and then playing against this type of competition, and then just kind of falling with 3 minutes to go against Auburn, and then giving up the kind of out of the blue type of goal against Arkansas, where a kid hits a ball forward, kind of sticks her foot out, and it ends up being a great first touch.
Right.
And I don't know if she tried to hit it or if she got hit by it, but then she turns and hits a nice shot into the upper far corner. I mean, those are hard goals to defend, and but again, to only give up 3 in the first half and only 1 shot in the second half. The disappointing thing is that we're not putting the ball in the back of the net. And that's it's not easy, I can tell you that. And you've got to be able to. It takes special talents to set these things up, and it takes even more special to put them away. Some good saves by the goalkeepers, but not enough. That's where we continue to to really kind of bang the drum in training.
Exactly, and we're speaking of Maysen Veronda. She's going to be a guest here on the show in the second segment coming up in just a little bit. But uh, Maysen with 10 saves against Auburn, just one of the better performances in goal that I've seen by an Aggie goalkeeper in a while. I mean,
Absolutely.
she was just dynamic in goal. I mean, going after everything that was even remotely in her reach and stopping them. And as you said, the one goal that she did give up was,
turn and applaud. It's a really good goal
because that's all you can do. And then you come in 2 days later and face an Arkansas team, and we were talking a little bit just a moment ago. Completely different style. You know what you're going to get with Arkansas. It's going to be a very physical match for one thing, but it's going to be up, back and forth. And the Aggies, I thought, turned in a really good performance. Again, giving up a goal in the first 10 minutes in this particular situation. But then in the second half, the Aggies had outshot Arkansas 8-1 in the second half.
Yeah.
And had Arkansas on their heels a good part of that half.
Yeah, and really, I think the stats show that we only had one shot that they had to save, but they blocked. I mean, I would say they blocked without having to go back and count them all. At least 6 more shots that were on their way and hit traffic, and mostly because there was a lot of hogs back in the box.
Yeah, they were having to drop a lot of people back in order to preserve the shutout.
Stem the tide.
Yeah. And I wanted to mention as well, Lucy Lander saw 70 minutes in the goal, or 70 minutes in the game, most minutes that she's been on the field this year.
Yeah, and she played herself into the game really well. Came out initially, her first start, so she's a little awestruck by it. And you're playing against a top 10 team, and in front of a big crowd and on Turn It Gold night. And but she got better and better and better, and created some pretty good scoring opportunities for us as the night went on.
Savannah Hutchins got back on the field as well for the first time in 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, I was frankly concerned about putting her out there against that opponent, and she held up just fine. So you'll start to see us now finally get our fastest player back in the lineup a little bit.
Well, and again, and we've got about a minute left in this segment, but quickly, one of the things that as a coach that you've got to focus on is not only making your team better technically and tactically as you go through the week, but then also making sure that they understand that they're still in this thing and they are a soccer team that is getting better.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on when we talk about the standings, and it's really interesting how we're 1 win away from being in pretty good shape in the league. Now we need to get that win,
right?
But the fact is that in this league, as we've seen already throughout the league, a lot of things are possible, and we're one of those teams that might be able to step up and shock some people.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to the Aggie Soccer Hour with Texas A&M head coach G Guerrieri. Don't go anywhere. On the other side of the break, we're going to visit with Texas A&M goalkeeper Maysen Veronda. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back, everybody. It's the Aggie Soccer Hour with Texas A&M head coach G Guerrieri. I'm David Ellis, and alongside is Texas A&M goalkeeper Maysen Veronda, sophomore from San Clemente, California. And before we do anything else, Maysen, I want to tell you, I have been doing this, calling Aggie soccer games for 17 seasons now, and I can't remember the last time I saw a performance as good as what you turned in against Auburn. You had 10 saves, which is the most we've had in a game in a long, long time. You were just absolutely brilliant. And when you came out of that game, I know you're disappointed about losing, and all of us are. But nonetheless, you had to feel good about kind of where you've come. It's been a long road back from your injury. Talk about that game a little bit.
Thank you. I appreciate it, first of all. Second, I was honestly exhilarated, to be honest. I just had so much fun being able to do what I love most, and to be in my first SEC game, it was surreal. Obviously, I was disappointed with the loss, but reflecting on my performance, I was just so grateful to be back out there and to be playing with all my teammates that I love.
Well, and the Aggies end up losing that game 1-0 on a goal in the last, I don't know, 8 or 10 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it was. I can't remember now, but I mean, there's not a goalkeeper on this planet, I think, that could have made that save. And then we give up one early against Tennessee, another goal that was just bang bang from right out in front of you, and again up in the upper 90. There's no way you're going to save it. In that game, you had one save, so the Aggie defense was stopping a lot of shots, and before they got to you. I've always wondered about goalkeepers. I mean, you sit back there and nothing happens for a while. Is it hard sometimes to keep yourself in the game mentally, and what do you do to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it can be hard, but if I kind of do what you do for the game, commentate to myself, that helps me to stay involved, whether that's just rooting on my teammates saying, good job, Riley, good job, Bella, or just kind of commentating each play that's happening just so I stay focused. And I'll use some keywords like focus or just stay in the game or be still so I can bring myself down from being amped to kind of just steady.
How much is it? Because it's kind of a fine line. You've got to be on a razor's edge because you don't know when the shot's coming, where the shot's going, and sometimes they're very, very quick. But at the same time, like you say, you get too amped up, it can actually slow down your reactions a little bit, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, you just have to breathe. I know it's sounds way easier than that, but you just have to breathe through it. And I tell my parents this all the time. When I'm on the field, I can't really hear anything else because I'm in this zone. And that means for me, like, I slow myself down. And when I make a save, it almost feels like slow motion because I'm in this zone where it's just me and the ball and the other player.
Well, I've heard, it's interesting that you say that about slow motion. I've heard other athletes talk about the game slows down for them almost a little bit. And particularly when you're very kind of in the zone, as people say, it does kind of slow down a little bit, right?
It totally slows down. It's like surreal. When I was 15, my San Diego Surf ECNL team, we went to the semifinals and we were playing a Texas team, Solar, and we were going into PKs, and I was able to make 3 saves in a row. And it's just it just freezes. It's like a time zone shift, and it's something that has led me to come here and continue playing soccer because it's a feeling that I've never felt with anything else.
Well, and I think, too, that if you're just sort of the ordinary goalkeeper that goes out there, they don't have an opportunity to experience that. It takes somebody who is totally into what they're doing, into the game, into the thing mentally, to be able to have that physically happen to them.
Totally, yeah.
So, all right, I reading your bio, I've got to ask you about this because when I came across it, I thought this was fascinating. So you earned an invitation to the Philippines national team training camp, and you went earlier this year, I believe. Tell me about how that came about, and about your experience with it.
Yeah, so I got a random text in December. We were just on winter break, and it was the player liaison asking me about my Filipino background and how the coaches wanted to get in contact with me to potentially go into one of the training camps. Originally, it was the U20 training camp, but as I got into contact with the coaches and everything, they actually invited me to go to the senior team. And originally the U20 training camp was going to take place in San Francisco, but then when I got invited to the senior camp, they told me that it was actually taking place in Manila, Philippines. So I was just like, oh my gosh, this is not happening. I had to keep my hopes down a little bit because I was still coming back from injury. I mean, I was doing PT almost every single day during that winter break, and I didn't know when I was going to be cleared. I actually got cleared in February, and that's when the camp was.
Wow.
So I had only been cleared for a couple weeks until leading up to the camp. So.
All right, so how does Maysen Veronda get invited to the Philippine national team training camp?
My grandfather was Filipino. He immigrated when he was younger through the U.S. Navy. So my mom's half Filipino, making me a quarter. So basically that makes me eligible for the team. I was not sure who kind of helped me get there, but I'm pretty sure it was one of my goalkeeper coaches, Ludo, who is actually the goalkeeper coach for Angel City now, who put in a good word for me.
Wow. So what was your experience like? First of all, you leave San Clemente and go all the way to Manila, right? Did you go by yourself?
I did go by myself, and I was 18 at the time, so it was very scary. I'd never done anything like that before. But it all went really smoothly, so, yeah.
Did you come away with a good experience? You enjoy it?
Oh, I enjoyed it so much. It was basically the experience was being in the hotel room for most of the day and then going to training at around 7 because it's really hot. But I honestly was used to the heat because of Texas heat and humidity. But yeah, it was every day for 10 days. We had one off day, and that was a Saturday where we just toured Manila, and it was cool to see a side of my culture that I've never learned about.
So I was going to ask you about that. I mean, so were there other people from the United States there on invitees to the camp, or was it just you, or what?
Yeah, there was multiple other new people that were going there for the first time, and some of them were college athletes too. I made some good friends from UNLV in Kentucky, Sky Leach and Molly Ramirez, and others have come from playing professionally in other countries or playing in the NWSL or trying to go play in the NWSL. Only some, maybe half or a little under half, were actually born in the Philippines.
So did you come away from that experience thinking, gosh, you know what, I can compete at this level? I mean, what did it do for your confidence?
I mean, not always, but I've been confident that I can go play for a national team, and I aspire to go play for the U.S. national team because that's where I'm from. But being able to go play for my grandfather was just an insane experience. And it definitely boosted my confidence, but it didn't let me get out of my head because you got to stay humble. So, yeah.
Well, you're definitely that. And so you found Manila, then the climate not all too different from what you've experienced here in College Station, right?
Honestly, it was pretty similar to College Station, to be fair. So.
All right. So did you bring anything back? Did you get to do some shopping or bring stuff back?
I brought back some treats. Definitely some interesting snacks that I gotta share. But yeah.
You think you'll have an opportunity to go back?
I hope so. Yeah, working to get my passport. That's the next step. So.
There you go. That's Maysen Veronda, goalkeeper currently for Texas A&M, aspiring goalkeeper at some point for both the Philippine and the United States national team. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back right after this. You're listening to the Aggie Soccer Hour. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Aggie Soccer Hour with Texas A&M head coach G Guerrieri. I'm David Ellis, and alongside is Dr. Ryan Pittsinger. Now, Dr. Pittsinger is an assistant AD here at Texas A&M. He's director of counseling and sport psychology here. And, you know, I don't care what you play, whether you play golf or whether you like to get out and play pickleball or whatever, but, you know, all of us at some point begin to start to have, you know, a problem where we're looking at, can we still play this game? What's happening to us? And that's one of the things that Dr. Pittsinger really deals with, and in terms of helping athletes at Texas A&M achieve their very, very best on and off the field. And so I wanted to ask Ryan, obviously the athletes here at Texas A&M are elite level athletes, or they wouldn't be here. And they have been successful throughout their career, or they wouldn't be here. But I don't care who you are, how good you are, you're human. And you go through periods of time where things aren't going as well for you. The things that you could do well a week ago, you're having trouble with now. And it doesn't make any difference what sport it is. Everybody has these issues from time to time. How and then when you start to have those issues, I should say, then it becomes maybe a technique issue, physical issue, but then it can start to bleed over into the mental/emotional side of things. And how do you help athletes deal with, I guess, failure or not being as successful as they want to be? How do you help them deal with that?
Absolutely. Great question. And thank you very much for having me, David. Yeah, I think that's a really important question. Failure, quote unquote, is going to happen in anything we do, right? And so one of the things that's really important is to really define what a failure is. And with our athletes, we define failure as when we don't try our hardest or put in the effort that it takes to be our very best. And when failure starts to impact our sense of self or self-confidence, it's often when we misidentify it. And so oftentimes, athletes will define failure as not getting what they want, which is not a failure, right? That they may prepare really, really well, try their absolute hardest in the present moment, and for whatever reason, maybe it's the other team is more talented, maybe there's some sort of error that's outside of their control, that they don't get what they want. That doesn't mean that they failed. And so I think really an important piece here is to define failure accurately, and then also really think about how we're defining our sense of self and where we're generating our self-confidence. And so we talk a lot about being process-oriented opposed to being outcome-oriented, that we're so focused on the process of what we do. So controlling the three things that we can, which is energy, effort, and attitude. And if we control those things in the present moment, then that's the only things that we can really have control over. And it doesn't guarantee the outcome we want, but it certainly increases the opportunity or the likelihood that we have that outcome. And so being able to work with athletes to help shape their self-confidence and really allow them to focus on, hey, what do I have control over, and how can I put my energy, my effort, and manage my attitude so that it's in line with that?
So this may sound maybe a silly question, may sound like a silly question, but you know, you have that self-confidence. What's harder, maintaining self-confidence or getting the self-confidence back once you lose it?
Another great question. One of the things with self-confidence is we talk about that concept or use those words a lot. And not a lot of people actually know what the definition of self-confidence is. And really, the true definition of self-confidence is the belief that I can be successful. It's not the fact that I can be successful. It's not the guarantee that I can be successful. And so we break it down like that. Self-confidence is actually really attainable. If it's just the belief, there's three main ways that self-confidence is attained, and that's through previous successful experiences, vicarious experiences, and then also from positive feedback from ourselves and others. And if we incorporate those three things, then it's actually really easy to grow our self-confidence, right? And then also, if we have a failure or a setback, we can rely on those three things to build it back up. And one of the big things that's difficult about generating and maintaining self-confidence, especially in this day and age, is the positive feedback or positive self-talk from ourselves. Mm-hmm. It is incredibly difficult for athletes these days to provide themselves with that positive feedback. And part of it is kind of how they've been socialized, that there's so much emphasis on, hey, here's what you need to do to get better, or what do you need to work on? That they almost, or a lot of them internalize that, hey, if I'm performing really well, that's just an expectation. I'm expected to do that. That's my job. And so I can't even celebrate that.
Right.
I just need to focus on how to get better and better, which is great. However, if we don't ever acknowledge what we did well or what we're good at, it's really going to negatively impact our self-confidence and our belief.
So I'm about to ask you something that it's not necessarily pertain to women's college soccer at this point to any great degree, but now that money has entered the picture, okay, through NIL, where you have college athletes getting paid, what has that done to this whole equation of now you've got 18, 19-year-old young man or young woman who's now basically receiving money to perform their sport, whatever that is. Which, I mean, what has that done from a sports psychology perspective in terms of, has that changed the equation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it has. I think that in some respects it's changed it in a really, really positive way, right? It's allowed people to be compensated. It's allowed people to build their futures, to really support themselves and their family. And then in other ways, I think it's really added a lot more pressure and expectations. And we actually saw this years ago, and not many people talk about it, but with athletic scholarships, that there is some pretty robust research in the literature that shows that performance and expectations when an athlete started to receive an athletic scholarship was really negatively impacted compared to a walk-on who didn't receive a scholarship, because all of a sudden they put so much pressure on themselves. Hey, now I have to make sure that I earn this. I have to make sure that I earn my keep, show my coaches that I deserve this, which is a totally different mentality than they ever had before. And part of that mentality negatively impacts what made them such a great athlete. And so we see that with this influx of payment, sometimes athletes can get a little bit more focused on the outcome and shy away from the process, which is what has allowed them to be so great. There's also can be some relationship issues. We've seen some family issues where people are requesting or demanding money, which impacts trust and the feelings of kind of love and security and care. And so there have been some positive things, and there's also been some less than desirable outcomes from that.
Somehow in life, that's always the case with money, isn't it? So I got to ask you one more general question, and that is, you've been now this chosen field for you as sports psychologist. How have you seen it change over the years in terms of your role as a sports psychologist working with college athletes? How has your job changed? You've been at A&M since 2016, I think, or somewhere along in there. But this ain't your first rodeo. So how have you seen it changed over the years?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's changed dramatically. The stigma has certainly reduced around mental health and sports psychology, which has facilitated student athletes and coaches and administrators to be a lot more inclined and willing to come in and access the services. And so instead of it being seen as a negative thing, it's really seen as a positive thing, that this is here to enhance performance. I think also people's just general understanding of what a sports psychologist does has increased considerably. You see professional athletes talking about it a lot more. And then also ease of access for the student athlete has increased. And so not only can they come and meet with me in my office, but then they can also, I'm out at practice, I travel with teams, I'm out at games, I'm down in the dining hall. And so they can be able to access our services so much easier. And then there's also just increased comfort because I'm around a lot more. And so they know me on a different level, and it's not, oh gosh, there's this person that's kind of stoic or not approachable. And so I think being able to meet the student athlete where they are has helped increase that, willingness to use the services.
That's Dr. Ryan Pittsinger, Assistant Athletic Director at Texas A&M, Director of Counseling and Sports Psychology here for Texas A&M Athletics. Always fascinating to talk to Ryan, and we're going to be back with more conversation here with Texas A&M head coach G Guerrieri in just a minute. You're listening to the Aggie Soccer Hour. All righty, welcome back to the Aggie Soccer Hour with Texas A&M head coach G Guerrieri. I'm David Ellis. Coach G is alongside. I need to give you a little reminder here in case you needed any that soccer and barbecue lovers know the perfect brisket needs the right wood, and Rudy smokes all their meats using their delicious signature rubs in 100% oak-fired pits. Get your real Texas barbecue fix today at Rudy's or on the web at rudys.com. If you're out or about, it's getting close to supper time. If you don't have any ideas, that's always a good one.
And we're back live at Rudy's next week.
Absolutely,
so
we are.
Looking forward to getting back out with folks and again getting a little bit of Texas barbecue in it. I made the mistake while we were in Alabama of tasting a little bit of Alabama.
Goodness gracious,
barbecue, and I'm not a big mayonnaise fan. And when you walk in and there's no brisket on the menu, we're kind of spoiled. So. I think it's important that we get back to the church of succulent beef and charred.
Well,
to get back out and enjoy it again. Get over to Rudy's again.
I had the beef ribs, thinking that
there were pork ribs. I think.
Pork ribs. Yeah, of course. Anyway, I had the pork ribs, and I thought, okay, well, they can do that, and. We were eating there on Thursday. These ribs were ready on Tuesday. They were done on Tuesday.
A little dry, were they?
A little dry, and and gosh, it was disappointing. But you're not going to get that disappointment at Rudy's. I guarantee you that. Come on out to Rudy's and have some of their good Texas barbecue. They know what they're doing. All right, we had this was a Thursday Sunday week in the SEC this past week, and. Had some interesting results, and it showed again, number one, just how tough the SEC is and how unpredictable it can be at times. I mean,
predictably unpredictable.
Predictably unpredictable. That is exactly right. I mean, you have Oklahoma, who's been rocking along, beat Florida 2-1, and then next thing you know, they turn around and get walloped by Vanderbilt 3-0.
Well, walloped, but it was 0-0 at halftime.
Right.
So and Vanderbilt had one of those coulda shoulda games, just a little bit like our coulda shoulda on Sunday against Arkansas. They had a coulda shoulda in Vietnam on Thursday against the Hogs, and had them down, and then gave up two late kind of Arkansas-esque types of goals, and Arkansas got out of there with a big 2-1 victory on Thursday night. But again, exactly, you just never know how it's going to turn. And when one team in this league gets hot and the other one is not firing on all cylinders, it's going to go that way.
And South Carolina is another example.
Mm-hmm.
Ranked 15th in the country. They put it on Ole Miss 4-0, and then they go to Florida, who's not had a lot of success, and they get tied by Florida 0-0.
Right. Florida, who had two losses, and then they pull off a draw, which is great for Florida. I know that the goalkeeper for Florida was like the defender of the week, so I haven't seen that much of that because we don't play South Carolina for a couple of weeks.
Right.
But it sounds like the goalkeeper was kind of standing on her head, and that can happen against South Carolina.
Well, and you look, we were talking about earlier at the open of the show about Auburn, and then they go on the road and play number 12 Mississippi State in Starkville, and Mississippi State is tough to beat there, and Auburn comes away with a tie. So Auburn's legit.
Yeah, they are, and that was going to be a difficult game. I know that for James Armstrong, the coach at Auburn, used to be that coach at Mississippi State. The assistant coach was there, and I think even beyond and I think he left on good terms, but he left to go to another SEC school. And I don't know enough about the Auburn Mississippi State over the years rivalry between the schools, but apparently it's pretty strong. And so I know that it was going to be a tough place for Auburn to go into, and it proved to be. I mean, Mississippi State knocked off number 1 Tennessee a week ago at that place, came from behind just like in this particular game, and it's one of those places that anyone that goes into Stark Vegas, you could go at your own peril.
Yeah, and you talk about that rivalry between Auburn and Mississippi State. I mean, both of those schools, land-grant institutions, Mississippi State and Auburn, and always, you got Alabama and Auburn, and you got Ole Miss and Mississippi State.
Yep.
And so for Mississippi State and Auburn to have a rivalry, there's some logic in that.
That's right. That's right.
And
for the 100 years of the SEC, so it's
right.
been or however long for the SEC, and it's kind of cool to see these rivalries also out on the soccer pitch as well.
Absolutely. Pardon me. So again, it's one of those leagues, and then you talk to coaches around the league as I get an opportunity to do, and one of the things that's kind of consistent is the belief among coaches that, okay, as we've seen this season unfold, what we're seeing is that there's not a lot of difference from top to bottom. I mean, there are teams that are 3-0, and there are teams that are 0-3, but the difference between those teams is not as much as it sounds.
Right.
And either one of those 0-3 teams can beat any of those 3-0 teams on any given night, and then you got everybody else kind of in the middle, and literally, I mean, it's a cliche, but it is true in the SEC, and it is even more true in soccer in the SEC, that you can have any team can beat anybody else.
Well,
and it's just the way it is.
And the thing about it too is the way it's kind of parsing out is you've got Vanderbilt is in 9th place, and they've got a win, a loss, and a draw. All right, and then everyone above them so that makes for 4 points in the 3 games. Everyone above them is 5 points. 3 with 6 points, 2 with 7 points, and only 2 that are undefeated, and who we've played both of them, unfortunately.
Of course.
And but then so again against the run of history, I mean we're in the bottom half, but with, like I said, with one loss with one win this week, we immediately move right behind Vanderbilt in the standings as far as the way things go. So. We just got to keep people in sight and be able to continue to build on what we've been doing. And like I said, we continue to play hard. Our players are putting it on. Anyone who doesn't think that our team is playing hard obviously hasn't seen our team play.
Yes.
And that's the way it is in this league. You're going to get passion. You're going to get really smart people, but you're going to get these players, really kind of putting in the work. And that's where we are. And I tell you, we'll come back later. We'll talk a little bit about the game at Tennessee, but it's going to be that type of effort is going to be needed, plus a little bit more to hang with the Vols in Knoxville.
Absolutely. We're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back to talk about the University of Tennessee and the game coming up Friday night. Right now, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back to the final segment of the Aggie Soccer Hour. I'm David Ellis, alongside is Texas A&M head coach G Guerrieri. And G, again, the Aggies will take on the Tennessee Volunteers up in Knoxville on Friday night. That game gets underway a little different time. I want to make sure that you're aware of it, at 6 o'clock Central Time. All right, 6 o'clock on the radio. Pre-game show will start at 5:45. We'll be on the zone 1150. You'll be able to watch it on SEC Plus, so tune in there, turn those guys down. You can go to your 12th Man mobile app or Zone 1150 website or through regular terrestrial radio to hear the game and follow the action that way. Tennessee Volunteers ranked currently somewhere in the top 5. I can't remember. Anyway, the bottom line is they're good.
Came out and they're number 3.
Okay,
number 3, and they'll be top 5 in all the other ones. It's a good side, and this is again one of the places where I wish they would take the TV cameras and put them on the other side of the pitch to show back to the crowd, because they've been getting some terrific crowds there. It's this facility and South Carolina's and even Auburn, where we were, had an okay crowd at Auburn, but you wouldn't know it from watching on television because all you can see is the other teams on the other side of the bench, on the other side of the field,
right.
And the bench areas. Same thing at Arkansas. And if they were to turn the cameras around and point them the other direction from the other side of the field, then you would see that these are big crowds. These are crowds that are are bigger than a lot of basketball crowds out there. They're bigger than a lot of volleyball crowds for sure, bigger than softball crowds. But because they've made this one big grandstand on the west side, so the sun is behind you.
Sure.
Obviously.
I get it.
Unfortunately, it kind of cheats the game a little bit because I don't think people really realize, number one, what a nice facility it is, but number two, how many people are there rooting on the home team and a few coming along to root for us too. So
Absolutely.
you go to Tennessee, and that's the way Tennessee is, and they've got it's a really good team. Joe Kurt, the head coach there, who lived in Houston for a long time, worked with Challenge down in Houston for a while. He's been in Tennessee for quite a while. Ange Kelly was the first one to hire him. He stayed on with Brian Penske, and now he's stepped up to the big chair. And their team is playing dynamite. You look at the results early in the season. Knocking off North Carolina, knocking off UCLA. Going for about the first 8 games without even giving up a goal. Right. They didn't give up a goal until they got into SEC play. So. And you go to their place. The field looks like it's in great shape too. So they just knocked off LSU, and LSU is a little bit like us. They've played really close with a lot of teams and haven't gotten a win. They lost 2-1 at Alabama, 2-1 last week, and that was an interesting game because you can see the quality that Tennessee has. Kate Runyon, who's up front, is I think she's the freshman of the week this week in the SEC. She's a real handful. She scored the winning goal on Sunday there, and I remember her in youth ball coming out of Ohio, and she's a handful for a defense. She has a really good instincts around goal, and so we've got to keep her in check. Their defense, like I said, they only gave up the first goal was only 3 games ago, so. They're a hard team to break down, and it's going to be one of those things where for us, we're going to have to be able to, find some magic to get it done.
All righty, and so again, it's going to be at 6:00 Friday night, Zone 1150, SEC Plus Network, and then the Aggies will come back next Thursday and take on the Texas Longhorns at 7:00 at
who?
The
Longhorns from Texas. They're coming to town.
I believe they
haven't been here since 2019.
I believe you're right. Goodness gracious!
But they're coming next Thursday.
Next Thursday
for a 7:30 kickoff.
Yes,
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock kickoff.
Gosh, we'll have to get some people.
We'll have to do that. You got to believe it. Until then, we've got Tennessee to take care of. We're going to go from Tennessee orange to burnt orange next week. We'll take it all. For G Guerrieri, I'm David Ellis. Thanks for listening, everybody, and gig 'em.
You've been listening to the Aggie Soccer Hour with Coach G, brought to you by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit Rudy's.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. Memorial Herman, proud supporter of Aggie Soccer and the official healthcare provider of Texas A&M Athletics. And by Cotton Holdings, one call, one team, total recovery. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Texas A&M Sports Network.